Mingala Babia General Dini Pio Maramobo, no? Dini, Timbi. Padrin is a number ticker. Ukraine a good offensive, no? Throughout the entire Union, so we are. Todo you just only, eh? Pima. Nangan Jani, we are like who type it. British to American about Sadipia. Only ya. The only don't let land be a trap being at the gate. Seeing the game mainstream media on Pian Sky News. It's not trading be like now my Gilo ya. Dala. Huh? Come on, Gilo ya. Now my trading be like. No? Now to check out. Ukraine Tamara Balauti time be Pesani cool bio Tibuani de Any Blau Pine Hades or how there now matter data Tan Tanechi de any Blau and a low pines or American later. Now be a Crimea or there than Pian you would choose time be a chillo or mo. I'm a 2 year mention here. Waterfront. No? Ali that waiting be like now Chila. Surakaja, a good commander of Tenira to a patriot. Time be it. Lolo need a 10. The 2 to Lolo. ရှင်းရှင်းလင်းလင်းဖြစ်အောင်ကြိုပြပေးလိုက်ကြီးပွားရေးလို့လူတွေတဲ့နောက်တစ်ခုကျွန်တော်ထပ်တင်အဲ့ဒီမှာတွဲပြီးတင်ပေးလိုက်မှာပါလဲဆိုတော့ Ukraine စစ်သားလေသူဘောပေါက်လာမနေ့ကတော့ကျွန်တော်တခုတွေးလိုက်တယ်မစိတ်မိလိုက်အခုဒီနေ့ဟာတော့စိတ်တာတယ်ပေါက်ကွဲနေ America အကုန် control လုပ်တာဆိုသူတို့တဘောပေါက်မနေ့ကတခုတွေးတာတော့တပ်ဖွဲ့တစ်ဖွဲ့မှာတို့တာဝန်အရာစစ်သားတွေ front line မှာတို့လာချတယ်ချပြီးတော့ရုရှားတွေကဝိုင်းလာပြီးသွားဆိုတော့အခါကျတော့အဲ့တက်ခွဲမှုခေါ်မလားပမာလို့အဲ့တက်ခွဲမှုကဒီဘက်ကရုရှားရဲ့စစ်တပ်ကိုပုံဆက်ပြီးတော့သူတို့ surrender လုပ်ခိုင်းလိုက်မယ်အောက်ကြည့်ပါအဲ့ဒါလေးဖြစ်နေဆိုတော့ကကြဒီကောင်လည်းဘာလို့မှမသိဖြစ်နောက်တစ်ချက်ကလက်နဲ့ KN supply လုံးဝမလုပ်နိုင်တော့ Russia အဲကြောင့် cluster bomb တွေပြီး Biden ကိုယ်တိုင်ပြောရတဲ့ဟာလဲကျုပ်နောက်မှာတွေ့တင်ပြီးတယ် ammunition နဲ့ run out ဖြစ်နေပြီဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်ဒီကောင်က nuclear war ဖန်တီးဖို့လုပ်နောက်တင်တစ်ခုကဘာလဲဆိုတော့ကလာတွေ့လားအိန္ဒိယကလာတာကီကလာတာကီလက်ကလာလုံးဝယုံလို့မရတွေ့လားတာကီကသူနှစ်ပတ်တော့ပြန်ရိုက်ရုရှားကလာက BRICS currency August လမှာ BRIC meeting လုပ်မယ် BRICS meeting BRICS BRICS meeting လုပ်မယ် BRICS currency စတ်ဖတ်တော့ကလာကသူမပါဘူးလို့ပြောတာဒီ currency သူမပါဘူးလို့ပြောတာတွေ့လားအမေရိကဘောသွားမှပြအမေရိကခိုင်းတာလို့ကလာကနှစ်ဖက်ချောဒါပေမဲ့သူဒီလိုလှုပ်လို့ဒီ currency ရရပ်သွားမှာမဟုတ်လက်ရှိတောင်မှတရုတ်ရဲ့ currency နဲ့သွားနေပြီရင်းနှံနေရနောက်နှီးနွားပါတခုပဲဖြစ်တယ်ကလာနှစ်ဖက်ဒီနှစ်ဖက်ခွနေအမင်းတို့ကောင်မြင်အောင်ပြောပြဘယ်တော့မှမရောပါကလာပဲtake care ပါအနောက်မှာတရင်ကြည့်လိုက်ပါ နောက်တစ်ခုကြံခဲ့ပါအခုကျွန်တော်ဟိုတနေ့ဟိုတခါပြောခဲ့တဲ့ဟာ milk ဆိုရင်ရိုက်ထားတဲ့ဟာ child trafficking လုပ်တဲ့ကိစ္စကျုပ်ရှင်ရိုက်ထားတာအခုယုံတင်အမေရိကမှာယုံတင်ဩစတြေးလျမှာမလာသေးလာမဲ့ပုံနဲ့မပေါ်ဩစတြေးလျမိမပဲပြောထားတာကျွန်တော်တင်ပေးလိုက်ကျို့တို့ဘယ် channel ကနေသွားကြည့်လို့ရတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ဟာ Sound of Freedom စကားနာမည်အခုယုံတင်ပြနေရတော့မှလူတွေကကြိတ်တိုးကြည့်နေကြဆိုတော့ခါကျတော့အဲ့ဒီ message တွေပြန့်သွားမှကြောက်လို့ယုံနေမှဒီကောင်တွေကလိုက်ပြီးတော့ပြဿနာလိုက်လို့ဟာစောင်းပေါက်မကောင်းတော့လို့ကြည့်လို့မရတော့ဘူးအတန်းမလာဘူးဘာဘူးညာဘူးနဲ့လူတွေကန်ထုတ်တချို့တည့်ရသားတွေကြတော့ပောက်ကွဲတန်လို့ဘာလို့နဲ့ထိုင်ကိုအောက်ထဲကနေတယ်ယုံရင်စကားပြပြီးတော့ယုံပိတ်လိုက်ကြော့ကျို့တို့အော်စီမှာတရားဝင်တော့မတင်ဘယ်မလဲ freedom democracy freedom ပမာတယ်မပြရဘူးဘာဖြစ်လို့ဆိုဒီ human trafficking မှာပါနေတဲ့ဟာတွေကတကယ်အကောင့်နေပါနေဆိုတော့ခင်ဗျားတို့တွေတိတ်စောက်ထင်ကြီးနေကြတဲ့အနောက်က freedom ဆိုတဲ့ဟာမြင်အောင်ကျုပ်ပြလိုက်ကျုပ်ပြောတာမဟုတ်နော်အဲ့ရုပ်ရှင်သွားကြည့်တဲ့လူတွေပြောတဲ့ဟာတွေပဲကျုပ်သင်ပေးလိုက်မယ်နော်ကြည့်လိုက်ကြ bye bye
The Ukrainians are running out of ammunition. The ammunition they call them 155 millimeter weapons. This is a war relating to munitions, and they're running out of that ammunition, and we're low on it.
Spokesman yesterday.
So I will say, with respect to your first question, we believe the war has been a strategic failure for Ukraine. The Secretary spoke to this in a speech he gave in Helsinki last month, I believe it was. What's that? So, I'm sorry, a strategic failure for Ukraine. Thank you for the correction. Which is, I need more than one correction today. A strategic, this is the...
Вот у нас в обществе, блядь, благодаря, блядь, контролю, блядь, за интернетом американцами, нахуй, полностью глобально контролируется, блядь, эта вся хуйня, информационные потоки, нахуй. Это уже, блядь, длится, нахуй, с 90-х годов. У нас поколению внушили, нахуй, что у них все там заебато, все охуенно, рай на земле, светочи демократии и все дела, нахуй. А у нас все говно, правительство говно, депутаты говно, блядь, менты козлы, блядь, всюду, блядь, дерьмо одно, нахуй. Хотя, блядь, дорог понастроили хула тучу. В каждой семье, блядь, машин ебаться в рот, нахуй. 1-2 точно есть. У кого нету машины в семье, это просто он не хочет ее купить, нахуй. Или не может, потому что не имеет прав, нахуй. А и при желании, то есть, как поднялось благосостояние после 90-х, охуенно. А нам все время впаривают, что мы живем в говне и в дерьме, а Запад живет вот примерно на войне, нахуй, ебаный рот. Самые крутые в мире, блядь, леопарды, блядь. Это пиздец, это супер техника, супер пиздец вообще, нахуй, ебаный рот, нахуй, блядь. Приехали, нахуй, и умылись тут, нахуй, все, блядь, кровью, нахуй, эти леопарды. Ни автомата заряжания, нихуя ничего нет. Все, блядь, нахуй, тяжеленные, буксуют, нихуя толку от них нет. Вон их похуярили сколько, напротив нас, вот здесь, нахуй, ебать. Кладбище, нахуй, устроили, ебаный рот. Точно так же с их самыми крутыми Абрамсами будет. Тоже это все распиаренная хуйня. И так во всем. Любой наш автомобиль возьми военный, нахуй, блядь, и ихний, нахуй. У нас, блядь, жрет, что хочешь, нахуй, блядь. На коленке можно сделать, отремонтировать. У нас, блядь, техника, блядь, вот эта вся, она предназначена для войны. А у них она предназначена для тухлых, блядь, понтов, нахуй, блядь. Вот попонтоваться, смотри, как он крутой, у него там то, все, хуё-моё, нахуй, ебать. Вот покупайте наши, они же, сука, торгаши, нахуй. Вот они и впаривают по всему миру. Ихний Патриот, нахуй, в жопе, нахуй. Сука, нахуй, наш, блядь, самолет, нахуй, за раз, блядь. Он, блядь, выпускает 35 всех своих ракет, нахуй, по ложным целям, нахуй. И наш самолет его спокойненько въебывает. А охуенный супер патриот, нахуй, который всем впаривает. Саудовской Аравии, Кореи, блядь, Японии. Европе, блядь, всем. А мы, оказывается, вот так опа, имеем. И чё, нахуй, американцы, нахуй? Да обосрались, нахуй, и еще обосрутся, нахуй. У меня все, нахуй. Отлично, спасибо. Вот я за все расскажу в общем. Вот у нас в обществе, блядь, благодаря, блядь, контролю, блядь, за интернетом американцами, нахуй, полностью глобально контролируем.
A pair of foreign fighters who had taken up the Ukrainian cause. But this small group has had enough. The train will take them home. The past few weeks on the Eastern Front have been the final straw. Ukraine's counter-offensive has struggled to achieve its objectives. We're stuck! As the Russians deploy mass artillery and minefields to slow the Ukrainians down.
What is it like right now on the front line, the 0 point?
Zero line, it's horror. It's horror. There is just people everywhere. Russians, Ukrainian people, Ukrainian soldiers just left there. And I don't know why. We were told there's a Russian trench line and our job is to go into the trenches and clear them out, hold them until auxiliary units come, and then we go home.
They were taken to a staging area, but they had no air cover, and a pair of Ukrainian tanks withdrew. In the distance, another tank approached, the unit assuming it was friendly.
But you're doing all right, though.
Yeah, I'm good.
But it wasn't. Soldiers took cover in the woods, hoping that assistance would arrive.
Any station, this is Bravo. Can anybody hear me? Can anybody read me? Go!
As the light fell, a Ukrainian truck pulled up, and the survivors scrambled in the back. But Burns said they were spotted. A Russian tank giving chase.
Let's go!
Now we have the tank literally coming out, starting to chase us. And that's terrifying. When you see a big T-72 coming for you and you're in a Humvee pickup, yeah, it's like a hot knife through butter. You're finished. So again, all of us are screaming, drive the Humvee. I was going mental.
Go!
As NATO pledges arms, these men are
power. These puppeteers had already provided him with a financial cushion. It's doubtful that anyone remembered his earnings from the movies.
Regarding Zelensky and his inner circle, it is also important to take into account all the manipulations and financial frauds that characterize this team. Firstly, Zelensky concealed some parts of his stakes in companies before the presidential elections. And then, in particular, his mentor Kolomoisky used them for money laundering.
Empty words? By no means. As I mentioned, we will operate with facts. In the fall of 2021, investigative journalists published the so-called Pandora Papers. Nearly 12 million confidential documents from financial companies in different countries were revealed, including offshore data on 35 world leaders. Volodymyr Zelensky and his partners from the Cartel 95 studio were among them. The Ukrainian president indeed owned offshore companies, including a stake in Maltex Multi-Capital Corporation. Zelensky modestly omitted this information in his declaration. But most importantly, in 2012 to 2016, Kolomoisky transferred $41 million to Zelensky's offshore company.
He could be jailed in a normal country for such an offense.
But this is Ukraine, and Zelensky is its president. And according to the offshore documents, he is a very wealthy president.
Are you planning to use the state residences? Guys, let some kids live in these residences. Like some vacation camps for people who really need it.
In my opinion, it sounds cute, especially when you don't know about the residency he owns. Ready to find out? Let's go. Firstly, a villa in Miami for himself, worth $34 million. I've been to Florida and can understand the taste of the president of Ukraine. Secondly, a house in Israel for his parents on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea. It's worth $8 million. Europe, Zelensky prefers Italy. Tuscany, the best wines. By the way, one of the most expensive resorts in the country, Forte del Marbi. Houses here are worth their weight in gold. In 2017, together with his wife, he bought a villa 600 meters from the sea. According to the declaration, it was worth about $3.8 million at that time. Is that all? Not at all. From the south, we moved north. Not to Siberia, of course, but to London. Old Center, legendary Baker Street, opposite the Sherlock Holmes Museum. There's another Zelensky residence, an apartment worth $3 million. Why? Probably to stay while visiting his owners with a report. More on that later. Apparently, the real estate was purchased through the company of his business partner, Sergei Sheffer. That's why he's called Zelensky's personal wallet in Ukraine. I almost forgot about real estate. Georgia, not the state, the country. A new multi-story apart hotel in the city of Batumi. You might ask, Batumi? What is that? Well, take a look. It's also a seaside resort. Apartments are under renovation, but an expensive finish, panoramic windows, and views in the city and the mountains. Hint, that is built for well-to-do people. At least 5 apartments here belong to Zelensky. Finally, the settlement of Levadia, an elite residential complex, Emperor.
Look, a magnificent view of Zelensky's house opens up. Here it is, a seashore over there.
Lions, wide staircases, and columns. On the roof, there's a luxurious terrace, a pool, and a wonderful sea view. But guys, it's Crimea. Crimea, which is currently under Russian control. Zelensky made a mistake here, and the Russians will surely figure out how to use it to their advantage. Zelensky's penthouse was purchased here in 2013, right before the so-called Crimean Spring. Nowadays, such a property could be worth about $1 million. However, a different amount is stated in his declaration. 1,384,000 hryvnias, or about $164,000. Well, we don't even need to mention the real estate in Kyiv or the official residence of the head of the republic in Koncha-Zaspa. Even without those, it's quite a collection of villas, houses, and apartments. However, the Ukrainian president is in no rush to give them to children, at least not to other people's children.
When I saw this person running between tables and collecting tips, roughly speaking, making compliments with an ugly smile, right from that moment, he disgusted me. He was performing at events where the payment had already been made in advance. His group was paid in cash, and still, he was running around collecting money from the tables. It showed what he had initially been like.
He was visiting Hollywood here in Los Angeles. He privately requested for meeting with, and some kind of arrangements to meet and have a dinner with the famous Hollywood stars like Leo DiCaprio or others. In private, not through the protocol. As a president, already sitting president who went to private dinner with a great star. This is telling a lot about his greed, about his ego.
Actors are forgiven for having villas worldwide and making big money. That's their personal business. But there are questions for a president who presents himself as a man of the people and a fighter against corruption while hiding a dirty history of money laundering.
These mythical Ukrainian roads are only built and repaired in someone's vivid imagination.
The most ambitious project of the Ukrainian president turned out to be the biggest, with a capital B, embezzlement. In the spring of 2020, Zelensky promised to build and repair 6,500 kilometers of roads in Ukraine in a couple of years. In autumn, the Prosecutor General's Office of Ukraine discovered that 129 billion hryvnias went to the big construction project, though only 127 billion were allocated from the country's budget. At first I thought maybe Zelensky wanted to build roads not only in his country, but maybe also in Poland. Nope. Just 4,000 kilometer of roads cost 120 billion hryvnias. By comparison, in 2018, only 40 billion were spent on 3,800 kilometers of roads. So the cost per kilometer tripled. Meanwhile, the same companies won a significant part of the tenders. There was a lack of funds, but roads are sacred. That's why 1 billion hryvnias from the COVID-19 fund were allocated to construction, while thousands of Ukrainians were dying from the virus. Moreover, 62 billion hryvnias allocated for cancer treatment were also spent. Meanwhile, Ukraine ranked second in Europe in terms of oncological diseases.
I thought that the systemic corruption built by Poroshenko in Ukraine could not get any worse, but Zelensky surpassed him. There are no standards, no principles at all.
In 2015, The Guardian named Ukraine the most corrupt country in Europe. You might say that was before Zelensky. What about 2023? Well, nothing has changed.
Guys, if you are in Australia and anything like me, you have been trying super hard to get your hands on a link so that you can watch The Sound of Freedom. It seems like no one is showing it in Australia, and it's so incredibly frustrating. I'm so keen to see it. Thank you so much to Just a Dad for posting a similar TikTok, and he has actually been able to find and share a link. I'm going to pop it up here so that you guys can watch it as well.
You guys, I just experienced a conspiracy theory like in person for the first time ever. So I just went to go see a noon showing of Sound of Freedom, which is the human trafficking movie by Jim Caviezel that's currently outperforming Indiana Jones. But like, of course, studios and everything are trying to hush this movie and make it seem like not so many people are going to see it, and they're not promoting it at all. And they're basically trying to make it seem like no one is going to see it. Theaters all over the country keep having really weird things happen when people go to see it, like AC not working, sound not working, lights not turning off. And I was like super curious, so I came to see it, and the lights didn't turn off for the first 10 minutes. And also there was like a voiceover, like a narrator for blind people. And so I could like tell around me, like tons of people kept getting up to go complain. And then after about 15 minutes, someone came in and they turned the movie off, and someone came in and was like, we can't fix it, so you all have to leave. We're gonna give you free passes. And people were like, why this movie? I've never had this happen before. And they're like, we can't turn the speaker off because we'd have to go in a back room and like climb a ladder to turn the speaker off. And so basically, like, we're gonna have to fix it. And they were like, well, it's been playing for quite a while. Why is this just happening now? And they had like no explanation. And so I'm just sitting out here finishing the drink that I bought because I didn't get to see a movie. And like people were kind of rumbling like, oh, I heard there's some shady stuff going on around this movie, and now we're seeing it in person. And I'm just like, wow, like why doesn't Hollywood want people to see this Jim Caviezel human trafficking movie? Why doesn't Hollywood want there to be awareness around human trafficking and pedophilia? I'm flabbergasted. I mean, why wouldn't they want to? So, I don't know. I guess go see this while you can before they, you know, make it disappear forever or something. Isn't that nuts, though? Like, has anyone ever experienced that in a movie before? I've never experienced anything like this in a movie except for one time I went to see Interstellar, and, like, the film was messed up, and so it had kind of, like, a weird line on the edge of the movie had like a weird line on the side that they couldn't remove, and they came in and they were like, we'll give you all discounts, but like you can still watch the movie. And so we just watched the movie, but it was like the picture was kind of messed up. So yeah, I've never gotten like kicked out of a movie 15 minutes in, especially not a movie with this, you know, far-reaching implications. Okay, fun times, bye.
What happens when Red and I decide to go to the movies. 3 big movies in our theater, in ours. We have no clue what they were. I think everyone else here. We got camera crews. We're parked in. Hey, we did at least have a good parking space over Lake Count Road. But stay tuned.